El Nini is arrested. He's in Mexico City. And what about El Plaga?
And El Plaga, well, El Plaga is...
And for people who don't know who El Plaga is.
Yeah, so El Plaga is basically, he's not a head of the cartel. He's a henchman. He's basically the equivalent of El Nini for a former Sinaloa cartel faction called Los Rusos, the Russians.
The Russians. And El Nini was basically in charge of the sicarios, right?
Yeah.
He was in charge of the killers, of the henchmen.
Exactly,
Okay.
of the whole security for Los Chapitos, right? He was the security head for Los Chapitos, and the Plaga is the security head for Los Rusos.
Right.
Los Rusos used to work for El Mayo Zambada, not long ago. They were the most loyal people for El Mayo because El Ruso is a dude that has been out for a while, dude. Since he was like 17. He's a fucking murderer, and
Really?
he knows how to traffic drugs, how to move around. The thing is, El Plaga has a huge following on Instagram. He has this massive account where he posts a lot of like his Rolex watches.
Do you know his username? We could pull it up.
I don't want to
okay.
publicize his,
Okay.
because I mean,
We don't want to give him any clout.
yeah, exactly, dude. Like
Okay.
they all are all up for it, right? And
They love this. They love the attention.
They will fucking love
Right.
it, and I'm not gonna give that.
Okay.
To him. So, anyways, he has this huge following on Instagram. He posts his luxury cars, watches, traveling, guns. He even posted another narco monkey. He had with a scar. He had a scar and a narco monkey on top of it. So like,
Oh yeah, I saw the photo. I saw that photo in the article.
in the article,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I reached out like 2 years ago to him to see if he wanted to give me an interview because I was about to go to Mexicali and all that area. He never replied. And then probably a month after the interview with Damaso came out, he reached out. And he's like, hey, dude, what's up? And I'm like, boom, again, secure app. Reach out to me on this one. So he reached out, vetted him. He was on camera asking for his ID, show his ID. He was driving a pickup truck and he kind of like stopped in the middle of the night.
How old is this guy?
Dude, he's like 24, 26. Like he's young, man. And he's the head of a huge army. So we talked about a lot about like Los Chapitos. He asked me like, hey dude, did you really meet with Damaso? And I was like, yeah, dude, yeah. And he's like, well, I don't like those kind of guys, but an enemy of my enemy is my friend. So like, okay, it's like, can I get a hold of him? And I was like, dude, I don't have any contact, no way to contact him. He contacted me and then lost connection with him, right? I don't have any means to get back to him.
Right.
So he's like, oh, okay, dude. So all good. So what's up? And I'm like, dude, can you give me a proper interview? He's like, nah, let's do it.
In person?
I wanted it to be in person, but he's like, dude, I can't promise you that I'm gonna be around because my boss, he calls El Jefe R, El Ruso. He moves me around a lot, so I can't promise you that I can be. I was like, okay, so let's do a video call, an interview, and if eventually you have the time, I'll travel and meet you in person. And like, by any means. So he laid out all this story about the fighting between Los Chapitos and El Ruso. He told me about, 2 years ago, he was arrested because he got into a gunfight with Mexican state police officers and they killed one of his henchmen, one of his right hand, El Tío or something like that. They killed him and they arrested him. And there's this mugshot that you have also on the files where that's his Mexican mugshot and he's all beaten up with a you can see
That's El Plaga?
Yeah, that's El Plaga.
Look at that haircut.
Yeah, dude. The cop.
Can you punch in on that a little bit, Steve?
And you have his mouth all
Oh shit, he got beat up, huh?
really beat up, dude. And his nose all broken.
Look at that Louis Vuitton jacket.
He told me that they were partying at a club in Mexicali. And then they went out of the club like at 7 a.m. They were driving back to his whatever. And they got stopped by state police officers. And he's like, his friend was like, don't fucking stop, dude. Fuck him. He's like, no, dude, I don't want to start anything. I mean, but he's like, but why are they stopping us if they know who you are and who we work for? And he's like, I don't know. Let's just stop and see what's up.
Yeah.
So he's like, when I pull over, this guy, El Tío, whatever, jumps out of the vehicle with his fucking gun and starts shooting at the police. And then these guys start shooting as well. And there's a couple of killings. And then they killed El Tio. He tried to run, got arrested, got beat up. And allegedly, he was moved to a maximum security prison and whatever. But when he called me, I was like, dude, what aren't you supposed to be behind bars? I was like, dude, I was free to the 3 days after. Like, El Jefe R negotiated for me and they let me out. And I'm like, dude, are you fucking sure? Yeah, 100%, whatever. I vetted that info also through other sources and other means. And he was fucking out. He was out. And I was like, okay, so this guy's really out. So when I published this story, I faced hard pushback by Mexican government saying, no, he is behind bars. The chief of police of Baja California, she told me, like, I personally put him on a plane and sent him out.
She told you this?
Yeah, I put him out to Oaxaca. So he's behind bars. I know for sure. And I'm like, well, check again because he's out.
I just FaceTimed him. He's driving his truck down the street.
Like, I don't know who you talk to, but he's behind bars. That's for sure. So then he had to show up for a hearing. He didn't show up. And the federal judge declared non-present. They couldn't find him. And I was like, of course, they couldn't fucking find him because he's out.
Right.
That's proof that he's out. And they're like, no. And then they put out a presser saying that my story was bullshit. And then they were going to publish his photo behind bars. So like, no, we have him and we're going to publish his photo.
Did they publish it?
Of course not, dude. They haven't said anything after that. They just didn't want to be, left like fucking idiots.
So it's just like Caro Quintero.
Yeah.
After he got arrested. Mm-hmm. He's like, you fuckers, I'll be fucking out of here in 24 hours.
Mm-hmm. And he's out, dude. And there is a search website where you can search for people arrested. So when you look for El Nini, it says where he was arrested, by who, at what time, mm-hmm. and who is responsible for his arrest, whatever, and where is he right now.
Right.
El Ovidio as well. For this guy, it only says arrested, no time, no place, no agency responsible for his arrest, nowhere to be found. He's not in the system.
Why do you think he was able to get out, but not El Nini? Aren't they kind of like the same? Don't they have the same kind of power?
In their organization, they have the kind of like same power, but their organizations are definitely not at the same level.
No?
The Chapitos faction, I mean, Los Rusos are by far not even close to what Los Chapitos are right now for the US.
So you would think El Nini would be able to get out easier than him, right?
Not really, because when you are requested, when you are looked after the U.S. government, especially for those charges,
I see what you're saying, right?
It's too hot.
Yeah,
they arrested another guy.
They don't have as much heat on them as El Chapitos do, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, dude, that was another cool interview published again with Grillo, with Iwan Grillo. Crash Out Media.
It's crazy the mindset of kids like this 24-year-old kid, and he thinks it's cool to be called the plague.
Dude, yes. I mean, this is the thing. On the interview, I asked him, like, why do they call you the plague, la plaga, el plaga? And he's like, because I leave no one alive, like a plague. I kill everyone. When I go into a fight, there's no one left alive. And that's why I got the trust of my Jefe R, because he knows that I don't back up and I kill. And So I was like, shit, dude. And I was like, what made you interested in this shit? And he's like, the narco corridos, dude. Like, there's Mexican corridos. This is like, when I was growing up, there was this group, the most elite sicario group for El Mayo Zambada, Los Antrax.
Los what?
Anthrax.
Los Anthrax.
Like the Anthrax.
Mm-hmm.
They were huge, dude. I mean, El Chino Anthrax has this mythical story because he was arrested in Netherlands when he was arrested for being part of the Anthrax, right? He was put in jail in the U.S., whatever. Before that, he was one of the first sicarios that was super flashy and huge on socials, right? He would post watches, Lambos, whatever. He even posted a photo with Paris Hilton. There is a photo of Paris Hilton with El Chino Anthrax, dude, the head of sicarios for El Mayo Zambada. Like, he was huge. And he was arrested. He started cooperating. He was in a halfway house, and then he vanished. And then his body appeared chopped into pieces in Sinaloa. Some say he was kidnapped by the same organization. Some others says he escaped, went back. El Mayo said, like, nah, you're a snitch. Cut him into pieces. So that was the story of... these Anthrax group, because they were fucking elite and flashy as fuck, a lot of people started like making corridos about them. So El Plaga got enticed by the corridos. He was like, dude, I want to be an Anthrax. So he met someone in Tijuana, because this guy's from Tijuana. He met someone in Tijuana that had connections in Sinaloa. He went to travel to Sinaloa, introduced himself to these guys, to one of these Sinaloa cartel members. That's where he met El Nini. They were friends before, because they were starting together, trying to be henchmen, you know.
Oh, wow.
And this guy, he's another like big player in the Sinaloa cartel, told him, like, you know what, you're not gonna make a lot of money with the Anthrax. I mean, they have respect. They don't make a lot of money. You're from Tijuana, dude. I know a couple of guys that work for us in Tijuana, La Rana y Aquiles, 2 brothers working for El Mayo Zambada right there. Go out with them, work for them, and that's where you're gonna make money. And he's like, fuck yes. He introduced me to those guys. I stayed loyal to them, and I started making shit tons of fucking money by helping trafficking drugs and being part of their security team. I started growing up. El Nini started growing up with Los Chapitos. And then he went to work for El Ruso, right? Because El Ruso called for backup to Aquiles and La Rana. So like, hey, I'm going to go fight back my turf in Sinaloa. He went with them. El Ruso is like, hey, come work with me. And then Nini and him started like fighting.